Declassified. I'm Nathaniel Shepherd, your host on behalf of author Daniel P. Douglas. In this series, we reveal real Cold War secret projects and excavate the classified details your government hoped you'd never discover. And here we go. Operation Acoustic Kitty, when the CIA turned a cat into a $20 million spy. The Cold War program that proved you really can't herd cats, even with surgery. It was March 1967, and somewhere in a sterile CIA laboratory, veterinary surgeons threaded an antenna through a cat's fur. Outside, America discovered flower power and protested Vietnam. Inside Langley, grown men with advanced degrees tried to turn a house cat into a living surveillance device. They called it Operation Acoustic Kitty, because apparently even the most insane government programs needed delightful code names. This wasn't fiction. This was your tax dollars at work, 20 million of them, in an operation so perfectly absurd it sounds like a rejected Get Smart plot. Except Maxwell's smart schemes occasionally worked. The beautiful madness of the plan. The premise had the stylish simplicity of all truly terrible ideas. Cats could go places humans couldn't. They were natural wanderers beneath suspicion and theoretically perfect for placing near Soviet compounds where they might overhear state secrets. The execution required somewhat more complexity. Surgically implant a radio transmitter at the base of the skull. Embed a microphone in the ear canal. Thread an antenna along the spine through the fur. Somehow cram a battery pack into the body cavity. And finally, train a cat to follow directions. That last item should have been the first clue this wouldn't end well. The surgical nightmare. The technical specifications read like something from a body horror film directed by bureaucrats, CIA veterinarians, and yes, that was apparently a job title, spent months perfecting the surgical procedures. They had to solve problems like how to power a transmitter inside a living creature, where to hide an antenna on something that grooms itself obsessively, and how to make electronic components that could survive inside a warm, wet, moving biological system. The surgical procedures alone took hours. Multiple operations were often required. The cats had to recover between modifications. All of this required specialized facilities, expert personnel, and money. So much money. By the time they had a working prototype, they'd created what documents describe as a feasible system. Feasible, in this case, meaning the cat survived the surgery and the electronics technically functioned. What the documents don't capture is the cosmic optimism required to believe the next phase would work. Training the untrainable. Here's where Operation Acoustic Kitty transformed from merely ambitious to magnificently doomed. The CIA needed to train their cybercat to walk to specific locations on command, stay within range of conversations, remain still while targets discussed sensitive information, not get distracted by birds, mice, food, other cats, interesting smells, sunbeams, or any of the 1,000 things that captivate cats. They tried everything. Food rewards, punishment, complex behavioral conditioning. The reports in language drained of all emotion note persistent difficulties in control. No kidding. The $20 million punchline. The operation's end came fast and, according to intelligence community legend, with cosmic poetry. The story, cherished in CIA circles despite lacking documentary proof, goes like this. After years of development, surgical refinement, and failed training attempts, the Acoustic Kitty was at last ready for its first field test. Agents released it near a Soviet compound in Washington, D.C., holding their breath as $20 million of advanced surveillance technology padded toward its target. The cat made it about 10 feet before wandering into the street. The taxi driver probably never knew he'd just killed a government asset worth more than most people's lifetime earnings. Now, take this with a bourbon-sized grain of salt. The taxi story appears in memoirs and intelligence community folklore, but lacks the documentary evidence we have for the rest of the program. The CIA's official records maintain diplomatic silence about the exact nature of the environmental challenges that ended testing. Maybe it was a taxi. Maybe the cat just vanished into DC's alleyways, $20 million worth of electronics searching for mice. Maybe it's still out there, battery-powered, the world's most expensive pet. What we know for certain is that by 1967, someone at Langley finally asked the question they should have started with: can we actually direct where a cat goes? The answer, documented in understated bureaucratic language, was no. The beautiful insanity of it all. Operation Acoustic Kitty failed for the same reason a fish with a bicycle fails. It mistakes technological possibility for biological reality. But the program's existence reveals something profound about Cold War thinking. This was an era when no idea was too absurd if it might provide intelligence. Budgets were essentially unlimited for national security. The gap between scientific ambition and practical reality was filled with money. Very smart people could convince themselves that very stupid ideas were genius. The program represents a perfect crystallization of institutional madness. Dozens of personnel were involved. Multiple departments coordinated, surgeons perfected techniques, engineers miniaturized components, behaviorists developed training protocols, administrators filed reports, all to make a cat do something cats don't do: follow orders. Modern echoes of ancient madness. Before we laugh too hard at Cold War foolishness, consider modern parallels. How many billions have we spent on lie detectors that don't detect lies, bomb-sniffing devices that can't smell bombs, behavioral prediction systems that can't predict behavior, AI systems we hope will follow instructions better than cats? The Acoustic Kitty slinks through history as a reminder that institutions, given enough money and paranoia, will pursue the impossible with methodical madness. The declassified truth. Today, Operation Acoustic Kitty lives on in partially declassified documents, intelligence community folklore, and as a perfect metaphor for government excess. The National Security Archive has published several documents confirming the program's existence, its technical goals, and its ultimate cancellation due to practical limitations. That's bureaucraties for cats gonna cat. The operation was formally cancelled in 1967. A CIA memorandum noted, with masterful understatement, that the work done on this problem reflects great credit on the personnel who guided it, but the environment and security factors in using this technique in a real foreign situation force us to conclude that it would not be practical. Translation: we turned a cat into a cyborg, and it still wouldn't do what we wanted. The verdict. In the end, Operation Acoustic Kitty stands as a monument to a particular kind of Cold War insanity, the kind that came with receipts, documentation, and a paper trail. It represents the beautiful moment when unlimited budgets met immutable biology, when technological optimism crashed into feline indifference. Whether it ended with a taxi or a missing cat, the program's failure was written in its conception. You can surgically implant all the electronics you want. You can spend $20 million. You can employ the best minds in intelligence, but you cannot make a cat give a damn about your mission. And really, there's something comforting in that. In an age of mass surveillance and digital tracking, it's nice to know that once upon a time, the CIA's most advanced technology was defeated by a house cat's fundamental catness. Some things, it turns out, are bigger than the Cold War. And there it is, another documented descent into the declassified, filed properly, stamped accordingly, and revealed at last. I'm Nathaniel Shepherd, your host on behalf of author Daniel P. Douglas. Thank you for listening.